Morning. Welcome to the Plant-Based Morning Show. It is Tuesday, May 2nd, and our show is presented by Compliment. Lovecompliment.com. Plant-based supplements. Plant-based, you could call them almost food products. Protein powder. We used to sell plant bites, but I guess we'll mostly call it supplements. Anyway, that's who always presents this show, and we get some good stuff today. There's one big story that we didn't get to yesterday, and it's kind of a negative one, but will be a good discussion, and it's related to some stuff we've mentioned recently about Peter Attia and his idea that red meat might not be so bad. All right, Doug is added to the conversation on Instagram. Doug, how are you doing today?
I'm great, Matt. Honestly, I give myself an A-.
Oh yeah, okay,
yeah,
good.
But it's not terrible.
You
did a great job on the intro. I was pretty stoked on that.
Yeah, good. Did you have a celebratory drink last night to end your little challenge, and is that why you might be an A- instead of A?
No, I wish that was why I gave myself an A. No, I didn't. I ended up working late last night and chose not to drink. And then we had a huge windstorm that woke up my entire house multiple times. So poor sleep and then wake up early for a run. So it was just kind of a combo of working late, poor sleep. The run was great. So that's why I'm in the A's.
Okay, good. Well, in the A's sounds pretty good to me. That doesn't sound like a bad morning. So we'll move on.
I mean, I'm typically an A+. So let's be real. I'm an A+ kind of guy, you know.
True. Yeah, you are. We can count on that most mornings. All right. A lot of people here today saying good morning, Mr. Jeffrey, Stephen Dunn, Jody Shuck, Jeff, Three Amigos, NJ, Sarah Slimp, Lady Draws a Lot, Emery Doob, Lucy B, Margot Gallegos. I know all those names except for Monica, except for Monica Gallegos. I think I don't recognize that one. But maybe I'm just kind of like a B+ today, not fully with it. I don't know. Who knows? I had another great sleep thanks to my stolen pillow from the hotel. It was delivered now 2 nights in a row back in this new environment that is my house. And I still have the problem of I sleep great if I go to bed at 11, if I wait until then to go to bed, but you can't really sleep past 6 in my house reliably because that's when my daughter has to get up for school. So even if I'm not the one doing it, I wake up and then I'm just pretty much up. So it's hard to really get a good 8 hours for me, but that's okay.
Well,
still can't complain. All right, we did it. We did a No Meat Athlete Radio yesterday. We did it at 2:00. It's on the YouTube channel. So if you're on Instagram, you should go over to YouTube for lots of reasons. One of which is that you can go see that discussion. We talked about Peter Attia's longevity fitness plan. He views longevity or fitness as like the key lever we have to increase our longevity and our health span, much more than nutrition. We talked about what he tells you to do and whether it was reasonable. It was quite a lot of stuff. But you and I both came away from that conversation with some thinking that we might want to round out our workout plans a bit. And I think that's really a pretty good way to leave it. So check that out. It's over at YouTube.
I also came out of that conversation. Are we going to talk about the protein study that I sent you this morning ever?
I don't know if I saw that.
Okay. Well, I also came out of that site thinking I needed more protein and loaded up our breakfast. The whole family had added extra protein powder to our oatmeal and did all kinds of protein things last night and this morning. And then I saw a study that Dr. Khan shared that maybe makes me question whether that's good logic. So maybe say the discussion. But
yeah, well, I mean, it's worth talking about really quickly because our topic today is not unrelated to this argument. The main thing is that almost 1,000, maybe it is 1,000 by now, doctors have signed this. I think it's called the Dublin, Dublin Agreement, Dublin Treaty, whatever. I don't know. Maybe Stephen can tell us as an Irishman. But they're saying basically that red meat is essential for human health. They're crucial for human health, not essential, but crucial for population-wide human health. And that the idea that it is a bad food for us, causing cancer, increasing mortality, that is flawed. And they give some reasons, and it's not like they just made up a bunch of stuff. I mean, I dug into some of the papers, and it's partly convincing. So the topic is one that is certainly, hot right now, I guess. Peter Attia, as we said, he says lots of protein is good. He also says red meat, not really a problem, perhaps. There's not enough evidence to believe that it is. But yeah, here's Khan sharing this thing from PubMed saying low protein intake is associated with a major reduction in IGF-1, cancer, and overall mortality in the 65 and younger, but not the older population.
Yeah, it changes as you shift older. But
Right.
that means that your habits should shift, not what Peter was saying, which is basically like increase your protein intake significantly over what's recommended by, correct me if I'm wrong, I didn't read the book, but from what you were telling me yesterday, then what's recommended by at least the US government.
Yeah, about 3 times as much.
About 3 times as much as that across the board. And this is kind of looking at it with a little more nuance in that under 65, lower in protein intake is healthier. Over 65, higher protein intake is healthier. So I don't know. I thought that was interesting. I haven't really dove too deep into the study aside from the abstract and Khan's comments, but yeah, something to think about.
My guess is that if Peter Attia were here right now, he would say that eating that higher protein when you are younger would help you build the muscle mass that is so well associated with long life. So, if you looked at how much protein do you intake when you were younger, and then compare that to your survival rate later on when you're 65 and older, perhaps there'd be something interesting there. Who really knows? What I do know is that what I'm starting to notice more and more is like, I don't know, like you try to stay unbiased, and I'm sure Dr. Khan tries to stay unbiased too, but like, he shares this article in particular. He's not going to share a pro red meat article, right? Even if he believes it's real, he can't, because his whole career is built on saying it's not healthy. Yeah. Right. And I'm not saying he would never change his mind. I do think he's a good scientist like that. I do think he would, but we're the same way, right? Like we can discuss this thing, but it's very hard for us to like just start retweeting things that say, red meat actually not that bad for you, because it doesn't fit the brand, like it just,
we get credit for it. Yeah.
Right. So you end up with these sort of echo chambers in each camp. And unfortunately, we're in it. It's just how it is.
Yeah. Your mom here chimed in on Instagram and to inform me that study actually came out in 2014, that she saw it too, and it scared her until she saw it was an older study. There's probably newer studies that maybe agree with it or counter it. But.
Yeah. So anyway, I don't know. What I've gathered, it is hard to know what is good and what isn't, and there are always agendas, and even if there aren't, it's just hard to interpret the science. Nutrition science there's just a lot of uncertainty. And I don't know, you're stuck. And basically what I've said before, I think I said this yesterday on the No Meat Athlete show, not this one, is I'm starting to come to the conclusion that like really nothing, no single food especially is as bad or as good as the media tells you that it is, right? They're all foods. Right. They're all okay. You can eat small amounts of any of them and you're going to be fine. The choices you make obviously matter. They add up. And so you shouldn't, in my opinion, go base your diet on red meat. Or even have it several times a day for sure. But it's probably, if you had it a couple times a week, it's not like you're going to start noticing major differences in your health. I would guess. I'm not sure. So I guess as I get older, I'm just more and more of that mindset that like nobody's really right. It's just everything's just food.
Yeah. I mean, I think that there are some truths, like you said, that are, that certain foods are better than other foods, but food is food, and as long as it's in moderation.
And they're better than other foods, but like so much depends on the context, and that's what a lot of these red meat pro people are saying. They're saying like, yes, there are people who can be healthy on plant-based diets, but if you look at the large across the entire population, if you just say meat is done, it is off everybody's plate, then you end up with a lot of sickness that you don't have to have, because there's a lot of people who just aren't going to get the amount of the density of nutrients that something like red meat can give you. So like I don't know, and I think it's a decent point. So
yeah, well, I mean, do we want to go straight into that article or hold that thought?
Let's get there in a little bit. It's just
okay.
I don't know. Once we get into that, it might be hard to go back to anything else.
Hey, did you hear your buddy Zuck ran a 1934 5K last weekend?
No, that's Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah,
that's a pretty good time.
I know, it's really good.
Yeah. I wonder how much he works at that.
He says that he hasn't been running much, is kind of the quote.
Yeah. He must be one of those people who just has a good VO2 max automatically.
I think he actually is pretty athletic.
Really?
He doesn't look it, but I think he is. I guess he was he on the row team, or am I making that up? In college?
I don't know. Don't know.
Yeah.
Interesting. Good for him. That's a good time. Sub 25K, not that easy to do. Cool. Okay.
As Steven says, it's easier when you're part of the cyborg. That's true. I got a downward facing Doug, Matt.
Okay. What's that going to be?
Yesterday we had a during the No Meat Athlete Radio episode.
Yep.
We don't get a ton of trolls for the amount of content we produce. I don't feel like we get that much hate.
Right. It made me almost think maybe like that doesn't happen anymore. Do people just not care so much about like bashing people randomly?
I
don't know.
I think that they very much do care about bashing people randomly. I think that we've just been fortunate not to get too much hate. At least of late, but I feel like I've been doing this long enough to where when comments come in that are snarky or rude, it's easy to brush them off, and I feel like I'm pretty good at that. But one came in yesterday that rubbed me very much the wrong way, and I really wanted to call it out. But since it was No Meat Athlete Radio, there wasn't a lot of like crowd engagement in the same way that we do with Plant Based Morning Show. I didn't. But this guy said, and I quote, "Respectfully, you two don't look like athletes." And that just what killed me was not the fact that, not my ego, I don't think, or the fact that I don't look like maybe an elite runner would, or a bodybuilder or something like that, but just this notion that an athlete has to look a certain way. And I think about all the people out there, like you, Jeffrey Benny, or the Manovator, or all these people who are really reshaping what it looks like to be an athlete, and what who is a quote unquote athlete. And I love that so much, because it really encourages people to go out and move and do things and try things and kind of get out of their box. And I like that, those type of comments just, they hate me. It really digs into me, and I hate it so much. So anyway, since I couldn't talk about it on the show yesterday, I decided to bring it up today.
All right, good. So it got to you. So you don't like that.
I do not like that. I do not. He can make fun of my personal achievements, but
what about just how you look?
I mean, he can make fun of my hair.
He's not making fun of all these other athletes. He's making fun of you and me.
That's true.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. They put respectfully. I like that. I appreciate that it was respectful, and everyone's entitled to their own opinion. So whatever. It's fine. It's cool.
Okay. All right. I disagree, but
Okay. You don't think everyone should have their own opinion?
Well, everyone can have their own opinion, but you don't have to. I just think that coming out and like putting that out in the world, if you were reading that, if you were joining us live and you were reading that, and maybe you look like us, or maybe you were a bit heavier, or maybe you were just kind of getting into the sport, and you were like, man, this guy, like, people don't even think I'm like, why do I even try? I'm never gonna look like an athlete. I'm never gonna be a runner, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just discouraging. I don't know. I think that we need to be building everybody up, encouraging people to move more, and not putting people down.
Fair enough. I think that's right. It'd be better if everyone did that. It would certainly be better. But who cares?
But you don't care.
I do not care a bit.
Well, I don't care about it personally, and I mean, I'm sure it's coming off as it I do. Like, I'm not going to take that to heart. I'm not going to think about like this guy's comment for me, but
all you can see it. It was an Instagram, right? All you can see is our heads. What, our heads don't look like athlete heads? I
got a nice round face.
Okay, yeah, I guess you can judge someone's athletic physique by their face. That's true. Didn't think about that. All right. Well, fair enough. All right. Haters gonna hate, right, Doug?
Haters gonna hate.
Yep. All right. So let's see. What else do we have? I don't have too much else, really. I thought I had something to share about the pre-show. I don't know what it was. I have no idea. So don't have it. All right. Well, should we get into our weather report? It's pretty short today.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, here we go. There's a photo associated with this one, Doug, of the Chick-Fil-A meatless chicken sandwich. If people haven't seen it yet, I don't even know why it's called the meatless chicken sandwich. That's what the Veg News URL says. I just think of it as a cauliflower sandwich, a fried cauliflower sandwich. But they have finished the test, the limited time test of that sandwich in Denver, Charleston, and the Greensboro Triad region of North Carolina. And Veg News tells us that according to the data company Numerator, it was kind of a success. I don't know what it takes to make a sandwich like that a success, but 68% of people said that the new offering exceeded their expectations, and that was the same amount that said they'd come back to give it another try. An additional 20% said it met their expectations. So I guess that's okay. Let's see. 81% of people who tried the sandwich went to the test location specifically for that item, which is interesting.
Interesting.
Not shocking, right? Because like we've said before, the cauliflower sandwich that isn't vegan at Chick-fil-A, I mean, it seems like it's just going to only attract someone who, I don't know, doesn't usually go there.
Right.
Maybe not. And I guess if it were vegan, that would be even more true. But yeah, I don't know. So I guess you got people out there. 16% said that that the sandwich could use some work. So it was not without its own haters, but
how many percent?
Okay.
16. Okay. That's pretty good.
And most said it was good enough or better than they expected. Most said it was better than they expected. Few said not so good.
I was hoping they would share a real first-person picture instead of one of the
professional
stock
photos.
ones, professional, because I'd like to see what it looks like in person. I am quite disappointed. I saw this headline. I didn't read your report. That's because I try not to read the weather report articles. And I saw Chick-fil-A meatless chicken sandwich, and I thought, they're doing it. They're bringing one in. But no, this is not the case. It's just the cauliflower sandwich.
Yeah. So no word on whether or not they're bringing it back. We don't really know, but it'd be nice. I mean, yeah. Why don't they bring in a Gardein and do it in the same frying situation? Although apparently the seasoning and all that stuff that they use, that's where the dairy comes in. So maybe it wouldn't be so easy to replicate that flavor in a vegan version unless you were really committed to doing so. So it doesn't seem like we're going to be seeing that anytime soon, unfortunately. And my other bit of news that I have is...
Hold on. Respectfully, this is Mr. Jeffrey.
Okay.
Always here with the clutch comments. Respectfully, that doesn't look like a chicken sandwich.
Okay. I like the respect it's shown with hate. Very good. All right. So this next one is more an art story than a vegan story, but it does involve a vegan food, which is a banana. This is from the Morning Brew. Happened last week, but a South Korean art student grabbed a banana that was duct taped to a museum wall. That's art now, right? I don't know how. Somehow that art has transcended the art world, and it's kind of a meme that I know. You wear that, Doug? Duct tape holding the banana up?
Yeah, I thought this was like a long time ago that they did the duct tape.
So,
did they swap it out?
Yeah. So this has happened before. Anyway, so someone ate the banana, right? That's the story.
Just cutting to the punchline. I like it.
Yeah. He said he was hungry. He didn't eat breakfast. People are saying he's an artist himself, the student, so perhaps this was his own bit of performance art, kind of a statement that he just ate the banana. I mean, how wouldn't that banana after like 2 days or 2 weeks be just black and terrible? And no one's going to eat that. But
I mean, sure. I mean, like, obviously the dude knew what he was doing, right? He wasn't just hungry. He was trying to make a statement,
right,
or trying to get attention or something. I mean, I think it's pretty funny, right? Like, you just walk up there, you grab it, you start snacking on it. I hope that he just kind of walked around, like, looking at the other paintings and stuff. And
and that's sort of that is an art statement, right? That's someone saying this isn't really art. This is just food on the wall. So, I'm kind of into the move by the student, despite the illegality of it. Anyway, this piece, here's what I'm not sure about. This is a $120,000 piece of art by the Italian artist Maurizio Cattelan. For as famous as that banana taped to a wall meme is, I can't believe it's only worth $120,000. So I'm thinking maybe
it has to go bad, right? And like you said, I mean, it's only valuable for a week, 2 weeks,
right?
And then
or could the artist, part of the art, be the instruction that says the museum people should swap out with a fresh banana every 3-4 days?
Okay,
I don't know. But I'm just saying this thing's so famous that I don't believe this is like the original execution of this art, would be my guess, for $120,000.
Are people imitating the banana duct tape?
Maybe. I don't know. So anyway, that happened. Somebody got a banana out of it, and I don't know if he's in trouble or not.
Yeah, is he getting charged? Do you know?
I don't know. But this was not the first time another artist has digested Catalan's work, says Morning Brew. A performance artist pulled a similar banana eating stunt in 2019. So this has happened before. So maybe this is the guy. Maybe this is the next iteration of the piece. Who knows? Silly. I mean, what does that mean? What is the art behind a banana stuck to the wall? Can anyone tell us, please?
Yeah.
I'd just like to know. I mean, I'm not opposed to that. It's crazy that that's like considered art, but I shouldn't say it's crazy. That is new and modern art. But I just like to know what is the actual like meaning.
Respectfully, that is art, Matt.
I mean, I'm okay with that. I don't think art like that is bad. I just would like to know what it means. All right, so there's
what kind of art are you into? What kind of art are you into?
I mean, really not any. I mean, almost none.
Like, what do you have on your walls?
A guitar, like a real guitar. That's it. Nothing else. Yeah, I don't know. We have some stuff that we got from art.com downstairs, but it's not any meaning. We just got what matched our stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm not really, as far as visual art goes. I like to look at some stuff. But I wouldn't say I really am into it. I don't know. Yeah. What about you?
Katie having like, we really want to invest like in a signature piece for our living room. But we're really stuck on what it should be. I'm tend to drawn towards like landscapes and things like that, but I don't know I don't really want like a mountain view as our big like piece in our living room. I want something a little more modern, a little more, I don't know, edgy or something. I don't know, but like we can't really figure out what it is we want. She's really into textiles and like weaving and stuff, so that could be cool.
Tape a burrito to the wall. This is the hay crest.
And then every time I want a snack, I'm just like,
get the burrito.
He's like, damn it, we gotta replace the burrito now. We got company coming over, and you ate the burrito. That's funny.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't have any advice for you, Doug. Whatever you get's not gonna be worth it. Whatever you get's gonna be a waste of money, and you're gonna regret it later. You're gonna say this was not worth $5,000 or whatever.
Oh no, we're not
appreciated the value.
Not that kind of signature piece.
I see you want to invest in it.
Well, I mean, not like. Well, yes, a nice piece of authentic art, not print. Anyway,
prints are good. Prints can be good.
Oh yeah, prints are great. We have prints all over our house.
Okay, but you want an original. Buy an NFT and then print it off, or just right-click save a JPEG and print that off.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay, put a Bored Ape up there. Okay, so good. I'll look forward to hearing, Doug, what you choose for your investment.
Okay, I'll keep you updated. It might be a little while, but
okay. All right, to the big stories of the day here. We've got. Let's talk about this big one, and then we'll see where we go from there. Okay. Here's a story. I didn't talk about it yesterday. It came out yesterday when I first saw it. This is the New York Post's rendition of it. As you can imagine, they would jump all over this one. It says scientists blast zealots pushing plant-based diet, argue meat is crucial for health. And the story is there are 9 new research papers published in Animal Frontiers. I don't know about that publication, if it's like an animal agriculture magazine.
Yeah.
But
seems
among
like
them, they have nearly 1,000 signatures now on this declaration looking to prove the value of red meat amid a global increase in vegetarianism and veganism. So this is a big time response to that, to our movement. Anyway, there's I don't know. What else is there to say about that? The scientists are saying it's crucial to human health. They look to debunk the claims that the consumption of red meat specifically is unhealthy and has negative environmental impact. So they're not just talking about the health, but also the environmental impact of it. Animal Frontiers, it does say the review magazine of animal agriculture. So not surprising that that's where this is published. Mainly they're talking about the global burden of disease study, which claimed that red meat is responsible, or a diet high in red meat is responsible for 896,000 deaths worldwide. Don't know if that's every year or just ever, or during that period. Who knows? But anyway, they claim the consumption of even tiny amounts of red meat harms health. And of course, this group says that is fatally scientifically flawed. They've got a big poster here that says there's more than meets the eye. I don't know where this poster
In the
comes
magazine.
from. It's in the magazine. See, I don't like this because it starts to seem like agenda. It just screams agenda to me instead of science. And I'm not
Well,
not
yeah. I
saying
mean, it's published in the agriculture, whatever it's called. I mean,
right.
the whole thing it screams agenda to me.
Yeah, it does. But I mean, the papers, like I said, appear to have actual science in them. I didn't look so closely, and I'm not, well versed at all enough in the things people would use to do bad science. Uh, but I don't know. I get the sense that like a lot of these doctors or scientists really do believe this.
Sure.
And this is just the place to go publish that information. Anyway, the poster has all this stuff, and it just says like meat represents the most feasible strategy to ensure global nourishment in the future. Uh, I don't know. It's just some of the stuff just seems sort of far fetched, I guess. Um, I don't know. It like the
Well,
poster just doesn't seem scientific to me.
okay. So I think I'm going to say something that I don't know if this will be popular amongst our crowd or not.
Mm-hmm.
But I think realistically, like we can't just snap our fingers and eliminate meat and have everybody be healthy, right? And our economy function properly and all the, I mean, if we just disappeared meat tomorrow, and then I mean, there would be a lot of issues, right? And there are certainly parts of the world, the bush in Africa, certain countries. I mean, all over the world, where preserved meat is an important part of people's calories currently.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean that it couldn't change, right? But there would need to be a shift in the food systems. There would need to be a shift in people's um, food storage process and in access to food and people's food access and in the trade of different foods. I mean, like there would have to be a major shift for a lot of people to be able to go 100% plant-based tomorrow, right?
Sure.
And not just habits. I'm not just talking about habits. I'm talking about like food systems.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is kind of what some of the arguments from this article are saying, and that's true. But that doesn't mean that it can't change, right? That doesn't mean that we can't begin changing our agricultural habits, right? And having people who are currently raising meat transition to raising beans or something like that. It doesn't mean we can't improve trade systems and bring in different meats into certain populations different plant foods that certain populations that don't have it, right? It just will take time. And like, so I guess maybe we just need to make some big changes and then it could happen. But a lot of the Western world, you and I, everyone we know, or just about everybody we know, and a lot of people in countries, in Western countries, wouldn't have those problems.
Okay. Yes. Agree with that. But I don't think that's the interesting part. The interesting part that I think, like, I guess to me, that sort of goes without saying that, like,
Mm-hmm.
of course, if we just switch to zero meat now, there'd be a whole lot of problems. And if something proves to be better and actually feasible and sustainable, then things are going to move that way, whether or not people like it. It's just going to happen. So what matters to
Yeah.
me is it actually healthier, or is it actually healthier not to eat meat? And is it actually sustainable or more sustainable not to raise meat? So I guess one of the articles in here, they have 7 different or maybe 9 articles. Sorry. One of them is called The Societal Role of Livestock. So maybe that's the one that's kind of what you're talking about. There are others: the role of meat in the human diet, evolutionary aspects and nutritional value, non-communicable disease risk associated with red and processed meat consumption. Let's see. Is meat eating morally defensible? Contemporary ethical considerations. Something about cellular agriculture, current gaps between facts and claims. So they're kind of, I guess, maybe defending against that too. And there's another one, what you're talking about: challenges and opportunities for defining the role and value of meat for our global society and economy.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, it's they're kind of on all fronts defending this thing. I've managed to lose, unfortunately, the article that I had in front of me that was really good. As I was clicking around, let me see if I can find it again. The one that I dove into, which I'm that's the one that I've just suddenly lost all of a sudden, unfortunately. Their big defense against this global burden of disease study, they basically looked at, it looked like kind of a bunch of meta-analyses, and they looked at red meat consumption, daily red meat consumption versus mortality rate. And they did like a global one, a China one, a US one, and one other. And none of them, except for the North American one, which is, I mean, the US one, none except for that showed like a striking increase in mortality rate as you consume more and more meat. And so they mentioned, of course, that only the North American one really shows something that looks like a scary link between meat and mortality rate. And their thing for that, their excuse for that, I guess, they said that the global burden of disease and really no study had adequately looked at the role of ultra processed food in that association. And I think the sort of implicit argument there was that the people who were consuming more red meat were also those who were consuming more ultra processed foods, and that could have been the actual driver of the increased mortality rate rather than the meat. So anyway, I read a few paragraphs of it. It seemed, fair enough, but without time to really dive in, can't say much more than that. But I don't know. I do think it's important to consider, right? Like I was saying at the beginning, I don't think that tribalism is a good thing at all, where we just automatically out of hand reject this because, well, we don't like meat and we don't think it's right to eat cows. So therefore, it's not possible that red meat is healthy, right? Like that's a terrible attitude. That just drives all this, polarization and everything. So I think it's worth considering this stuff. And from what I can tell, I don't see anything that would say like they're wrong. So I don't know. I think I trust the global burden of disease study more than I trust this collection of scientists, but I don't know. Like I said, I don't know what's true.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, I mean, what I would love to know more about the motivations behind this, who actually created this originally, and more about the scientists that have signed on to this, and if there was a response, and how many scientists would sign on to that, and kind of how would they respond to some of these points. I think Jeremy over on YouTube says that the journal is of, quote, high quality from a scientific basis, but their claims about choosing meat based on plant-based don't go over the fact that you can replace meat with other quality forms of food. Their examples discuss needs for omega-3s, protein, etc. for meat, but there are clearly other ways to supplement without meat. And I totally agree with that. And I think that what I guess what I was trying to say earlier is that it's somewhere in here I read that like a lot of people don't have access to the supplements currently, right. And that's kind of one of the problems, and that's true. And so we can't assume that everyone in the world could suddenly start supplementing with omega-3s and protein and B12 or whatever, because they might not have access to be able to do that. But those of us that can, that completely negates that concern, I guess.
Yeah, right. And that's what I was going to point out in response to Jeremy's, right? He says there are clearly other ways to supplement that. I think the point of the people say that, right? They agree with that in these articles. They say we're not saying that without meat, suddenly everyone's health goes to hell. They're saying without meat, a whole lot of the planet is dependent on that meat, and that's a major source of nutrients and calories for a whole lot of people right now. And if it's not there, then there aren't other solutions in place right now, right? So we've already got food distribution problems that cause people to go hungry. If we just stopped having meat, like you said, Doug, we'd have a lot more problems also, not just with people's jobs and the economic stuff that depends on it, but people whose nutrition depends on it. The other things aren't in place right now. So yeah, I mean, I think the idea that we get away from meat as a culture is definitely a long-term one. And it's in a way, it's sort of silly to argue that right now people are depending on meat. So therefore we shouldn't be saying it's bad.
Yeah. But in general, I mean, take climate out of this, take health out of this, just thinking about I guess this is related to health, but taking the whether red meat is good for you or bad for you out of this. If there is a more diverse food system and we have the ability to get more high protein, high nutrient rich plant foods into certain communities, so that people are less dependent on meat. If there's another global pandemic where it just wipes out all red meat for a while or something like that, then that is a very good thing, right? So we should be working towards a more plant rich future, in my opinion. And the people who are pushing for that, I think is that's only a good thing. And then when you add in the environment, when you add in ethics and all the other benefits of a vegan diet, then it just makes it multiplies the reasoning for us to be kind of making this shift away from our dependence on meat in our food systems.
Good. I'm going to check out the cellular agriculture arguments of theirs, not now, but another time, because I'm really curious about this. Because to me, like a lot of these, well, not all, but a lot of the conflict of issue stuff, like, because I just think among vegans, there's a tremendous the ethical thing, right? We think it's so many of us came to this diet because we didn't want to eat animals. We felt like it was wrong. Then we started learning that it was actually healthy, or maybe that we started learning that it was healthy, and that helped us in our decision. This is where I put myself, that I was ethically driven. But then when I learned that it was healthy and perhaps even healthier, that made it something that I could, not just get into, but get deeper and deeper into and say, wow, this is like something I can commit to. And became my living was based off of this idea. So, there's just, it's so hard to separate that thing. Like, do I actually believe this is healthier, or do I just ethically kind of hope everybody stops eating animals, because I hate to see what happens to animals. And it'd be really nice if this was true, that a plant-based diet is way healthier than the alternative, because it helps my cause. Right. So with the cell-based meat, like, that'll get rid of this whole ethical thing. Like, if that becomes practical and anyone can now get cell-based meat and the cost isn't much different and the health is believed to be similar, then we're going to actually get into, then I'll be really interested in the articles, right? Like, does meat in general, is it actually healthier than a plant-based diet once we remove the ethical question from it? Then I think there will be many more articles that are, I don't know, perhaps less hotly debated, because there now isn't the ethics wrapped up in it. It's more just like, is this particular form of food, which doesn't harm animals, healthier than this other form of food, which doesn't harm animals? And I don't know. I just think we might arrive at the truth much faster once that ethical piece is out of it.
Yeah. That'll be really interesting to see. It'll still be very, first world or Western focused, right? Because, like, even if we can get agriculture, even if we can get lab grown meat, what is it called? You just said it. I'm blanking on it.
Cultivated meat,
cultivated meat at the same price as farm meat, animal meat. A lot of the world doesn't have the infrastructure for refrigeration and shipping and storage and things like that we have access to, right? So, like, they're never going to make the switch, or I don't want to say never, but, like, they still couldn't in the next 10 years. They're not going to be able to make the switch in the same way that we might be able to. Right.
Yep.
Yep.
So, conclusion, we have no idea. Nobody knows anything. Conflict of interest and difficulty of nutrition science. Really, even before this, we were talking about the Peter Attia stuff. Like, you just don't know who to believe, and not even who to believe, but whose interpretation of the data to believe. It's just hard. It's really hard to know. So to me, keeping an open mind, saying I don't know which one is right, is better than picking one that just goes with what you hope is right. But that leaves you without a clear direction of what it is. So anyway, that is that.
I just I have and maybe this is just a bias, a significant bias on my part, but I have. It makes sense to me that fish are healthy, right? And that even some white meats can be healthy, right? It makes a lot less sense to think that.
Why? What makes sense about that?
I don't know.
Because the fish don't feel as much pain.
They're not as fatty. No. I'm talking about. Right. That's what I'm saying.
I'm pointing out a bias.
There's a bias.
Right.
There has to be a bias there. But it just less fatty, less.
No, fish is more fat often.
Well, okay. I don't know. See, that's what I don't know. Like, it just feels like a cleaner food to me.
I mean,
Less
yeah,
antibiotics that are pumped into it,
yeah, and that's probably true. But then it's got mercury and heavy metals and all that. It's the
yeah.
picture the media has painted, I think, really. And I'm not saying it's a conspiracy. I'm saying like I think
Mhm.
that's why we have that, because that's what we've been exposed to. We don't know about the chemical makeup of red meat versus fish and what it does in your blood. I mean, we've heard different stories about it. Uh,
Sure.
but I think it's just the stories we're told, and we just have formed this opinion. Uh,
Yeah.
and there's science, right? It's not just media. It is the science has shown much more definitively that red meat is not a good food compared to fish.
Yeah.
But it's like I don't know. You just wonder about that science, and I'm not saying there's an agenda behind it, although there probably is always something. But I'm not saying it's a big conspiracy to show that red meat is or make red meat seem unhealthy. I'm just saying I think there's a lot of ways to interpret different data. This particular one caught the media's attention, and it
Mhm.
and now we believe it. Uh, so I don't know. I don't know. I fully understand. Like this is a frustrating viewpoint because like I'm not taking any side, and it's just like, well, what do you choose to do then behaviorally if you don't know who's right? And I don't know. I mean, for me, you just eat the way you want to, which to me is vegan.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Yeah, yeah.
uh, I don't know. So that is that. All right. So we had another one, Doug, that I don't think we should jump into. It's kind of more the same, right? It's this parents in the UK responding to some new government guidelines that has more plant-based options, or at least maybe plant-based days in schools, submitting a bunch of pictures saying you call this healthy, and it's a bunch of starchy potatoes, French fries, some beans, sometimes some vegan meats on there. Um, but I don't know. I mean, again, it's just the same thing, right? It's people who I mean, I'd be tempted to show that person a big steak on a plate and say, "Is this what you think is healthy?" And I think they might say yes. I think some people just think that's health food, and what looks like plant-based vegetables and starches isn't healthy. Uh, it just depends on where you're coming from.
Yeah, it's funny. I saw those pictures that the parents were submitting this to the Daily Mail, saying like, you call this healthy, but I mean, I look at it and it kind of looks like a pretty standard lunch meal that I was served, growing up and my whole life in school. So, I it was just instead of chicken nuggets, it's vegan nuggets. So I actually kind of thought,
Right.
I was like, it doesn't look so bad
Right.
for a lunch meal.
No, it doesn't, and that's the thing, right? Almost any school lunch meal you put up there, I don't care what the macronutrient mix is and if there's meat on the plate or not, like it's just not going to look that healthy. It's not going to look like some amazing salad bowl thing you get
Uh-huh.
from Sweet Greens or whatever. It's going to look like mass produced slop on a plate because
Yeah.
that's how they get a lot of food out there. So I don't know. No reason to go into that one, I don't think. And the other one we'll say it was good. Actually, some good health hacks. So I'm excited to get to that one tomorrow.
Hmm.
But I don't know. I hate when the episodes get serious as this one did. Not in an awkward way, because I don't feel like we're walking on any turf that we don't usually tread on here. I mean, this is our main issue. But
Steven
I
says
don't
he
know. I
respects your
just wish.
stance. Not enough people in the audience with an audience online are saying, I don't know. And I think that's right. I think it's good.
Yeah, that's true. That's why we don't have that big of an audience anymore. Maybe
It's true.
it probably is.
If we were a bit more aggressive, maybe we would. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, anything else, Doug? Any fun notes to send us off in here? I hate to go with it when it's so just serious.
Let's see.
How about any workout? Are you doing any new workout yet, Doug? Given our conversation yesterday, any changes? Or given that comment from that person that inspire you to action?
Yeah, you bet. I bet it did.
I almost wore a tank top today.
Yeah. I'm gonna be 100% in on just looks. I want to look like an athlete. I'm gonna Google what an athlete looks like, or I'm gonna ask AI to produce an athlete image for me, and I'm gonna try to look exactly like that.
All right, there you go. Good.
No, but seriously, so we talked about just like the 30-second version of his fitness plan for longevity included a whole bunch of zone 2 work, some VO2 max.
That's easy running.
Easy running,
cardio.
some VO2 max running or workouts, strength training, mobility training, or stability, I think is what he called it. And then was there another one, fifth one, or was that?
That was it. That was it.
Okay.
You got all four.
The four.
Four things.
And I have spent a lot of time actually after that conversation thinking about how I can be bringing in more of the ones that I'm missing, which is mostly strength, VO2 max a little bit, and then mobility and stability. So I think I'm going to try to really. I said this on the podcast yesterday, but I think I'm going to really try to put together a bit more of a plan, like a little, not necessarily what the exact workout's going to be, but on this day I do this, on this day I do that, and try to reshape and restructure how I'm doing my workouts, at least for a while, and see how that feels.
Yeah, I think that's the way to go. I've thought about it too since then, and I think there's a lot good about that book. One of the things I think that where he kind of missed the mark is like the focus, or maybe it's in my interpretation of having read it, but like the focus of that conversation yesterday, certainly, and a lot of the book is on, here's this tremendous quantity of stuff you have to do in all these areas. When I think the message of you need a well-rounded approach to fitness as you get older is probably the much more important one, and certainly one that's easier to adopt for a lot of people. And so like both you and I feel like we could do more in the other areas of our fitness that we kind of neglect right now. And I just tend to believe that there's going to be some sort of reinforcing nature of it, right? Like maybe you don't need to do 4 sessions of 45-minute zone 2 work if you're also doing the VO2 max session and some weight training. Like then you're probably, a lot of that VO2 max, or sorry, a lot of what you develop, the mitochondrial benefits that come from this zone 2 training, like I think you're probably going to get in pretty good metabolic health just as a result of doing the other stuff. And so like, yes, you should still do a little bit of zone 2, but you probably don't need to do that much of it, would just be from a practicality standpoint. And so I guess that's the message I'm sort of trying to mold that into, is instead of you need to do 2+ hours of working out every day to make sure you hit everything, instead, how about just try to hit everything with an average of 45 minutes a day or whatever? I don't know. I just think that's a more useful way to interpret the message, probably.
Yeah, I agree. I'm sure he would disagree, but I think you're right about that. Hey, we'll go out on one piece of compliment news. If I may, unless you have something else first.
No, that's it. I'm done.
We just during the middle of this episode released the latest sweepstakes that we're running, which is 6 months of free groceries. We partnered with High Carb Hannah, Plant-Based News, No Meat Athlete, and Compliment. This is 6 months of free groceries for the grand prize winner, 1 month for second place, and then a whole bunch of Compliment goodies for a few other places. So it is US based only, unfortunately. So I know that some of our Canadian friends are not going to be happy about that, but
or Irish friends, Irish Amsterdam friends,
or Irish Amsterdam friends. You're right. But $7,900 worth of value. Head over to lovecompliment.com. There's a little banner ad at the top that you can click on and enter the sweepstakes.
All right. Very good. Yes, please do that. Compliment supporter of our show. The reason the show exists. We don't run ads or anything as of yet. I don't know if we ever will, but right now we don't and haven't for the 9 months the show has existed. So please check that out. Support Compliment, lovecompliment.com. And that's it. We will be back tomorrow. Sorry, reading comments. There's Danish friends. Somebody else says rude. I'm not sure what's going on. Anyway,
rude that it's not American, or it's only American.
Oh, okay. That's great. Mr. Jeffrey is Canadian, of course. Okay. Yeah. So that is it. We'll be back tomorrow. It'll be Wednesday. It'll be hump day. Hopefully we'll have some lighter stuff. We've definitely got this Best Life Online article already lined up waiting for us tomorrow. So that'll lead to a lighter vibe for sure. And we will see what else comes up. Should be fun. Yeah, that's it. Anything else today, Doug? Anything else today? Or are we done?
No, I'm good. I'm done. See you guys tomorrow.
All right. Thanks for coming.